Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mathematecher channel. Let's suppose that we have two integer numbers, a and b. We would like to prove that their product, a times b multiplied by a square minus b square, is congruent to 0 modulo 3. Let's see the proof. In order to prove this proposition, we will, at first, prove that every integer number x, when raised to the power of 3, is congruent to itself modulo 3. And in order to prove that, we will use one property about congruence. This property says that for every integer numbers x and y, and every natural numbers n and p, if x is congruent to y, modulo n, then x to the power of p would be congruent to y to the power of p, modulo n. Now we know that whatever the value of the integer number x is either congruent to 0 modulo 3, or 1 modulo 3, or 2 modulo 3. So in case x is congruent to 0 modulo 3, we would have, according to our property, x to the power of 3 congruent to 0 to the power of 3, which equals 0 modulo 3, which mean that in this case, x to the power of 3 is congruent to x modulo 3. Now in case x is congruent to 1 modulo 3, then once again, according to the property we've seen, x to the power of 3 would be congruent to 1 to the power of 3, which equals 1 modulo 3. Which mean that x to the power of 3 is congruent to x modulo 3. And finally, in case x is congruent to 2 modulo 3, then x to the power of 3 would be congruent to 2 to the power of 3, which equals 8 modulo 3. And as 8 is congruent to 2 modulo 3, we deduce that in this case too, x to the power of 3 is congruent to x modulo 3. We therefore deduce that whatever the value of the integer number x to the power of 3 is congruent to x modulo 3. Now we know that for every integer numbers a and b, a times b multiplied by a square minus b square equals a to the power of 3 multiplied by b minus b to the power of 3 multiplied by a. And as we've proved that whatever the value of the integer number x to the power of 3 is congruent to x modulo 3, we would have a to the power of 3 and b to the power of 3 respectively congruent to a and b modulo 3. This means that a to the power of 3 multiplied by b is congruent to a multiplied by b modulo 3, and b to the power of 3 multiplied by a is congruent to a multiplied by b modulo 3. Which mean that a to the power of 3 multiplied by b minus b to the power of 3 multiplied by a is congruent to 0 modulo 3. And as a to the power of 3 multiplied by b minus b to the power of 3 multiplied by a equals a times b multiplied by a square minus b square, we deduce that whatever the value of the integer numbers a and b, a times b multiplied by a square minus b square is congruent to 0 modulo 3. As always, thank you for watching. Like the video, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe to it and activate the notification button for more videos about this content. And until the next one, we wish you the best.